Hey, 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 this is Doc Solo, the OG of Generation Geek, and tonight we are live, Comic Shop Talk live from Amazing Fantasy Tinley Park on an amazing Midnight Madness sale. If you're not here, you should be. But, you know, we got some things we want to talk about. What we're going to talk about? I don't know, but we're going to talk about it anyway. Check it out.
Somebody built their referee.
Hey, hey, hey. All right. We got a full house here.
Wow.
It is Midnight Madness sale at Amazing Fantasy Tinley Park. Why don't somebody tell us what's going on here tonight?
I'll go.
You don't know what's going on here.
Right.
You're a guest.
Okay, yeah, Midnight Madness. It's our last Christmas sale for the season. Open 7 to midnight. 30% off everything in the store.
Everything?
Everything. Minus consignment items.
Oh.
And stuff you already have on hold. Yeah, we got a box of 50% off on some variants. We got a local artist on board.
Yes. Gotta make sure we show some love. Yes,
Yep.
we gotta get Lewis to come down here and visit and show some love.
Yeah.
Show some artwork. All right. Great. Well, listen, we have a
Real
bunch of faces I don't recognize.
Real quick,
Yeah.
we're toy drive for La Rabida Children's Hospital.
Ooh.
We're collecting
Talk about
toys for that, and Ross.
Do they drop them off here?
Yep. This
All right.
is a toy drop for La Rabida Children's Hospital.
La Ramita Children's Hospital, toy drop-off for the holiday season. Give to those less fortunate. We all have something we can give. We will be dropping off as well. I might buy something just to drop off. All right, so support, you know, and if you can't come out here, find some place that is doing some good work in the community. All right, to bless those who need it this holiday season. All right, so as always, I'm Doc Solo. This is Jay. Listen, you guys heard me talk about this dude, okay? This is why it's called Generation Geek. We have my eldest skeet bomb here, right?
OG.
My eldest son here and my grandson, my oldest grandson. You're looking at 3 generations of geek, all right? All of them have passed through the sacred halls of Amazing Fantasy. It started with me in high school, right? And then taking him here and taking him here. And now grandson is here. This is how we keep this industry alive and afloat, all right? Spread the love, spread the joy. But we got a bunch of other faces here. I told you, we're having a sale, and everyone's welcome to join in on the conversation. Introduce yourselves really quick.
Craig Barnes,
Craig.
56. Comic guy since 66 Batman. So
Man, he sound like he on Tinder, don't he?
His whole date profile. That was definitely a date profile right there.
Tinder, boy.
56, long walks on the beach, long mimosas. All right, Craig. I see you,
I
Craig.
dig it, Craig.
All
I
right.
dig it.
married though.
There you go. There you go. There you go. That's what's up. And of course, we got our main man, Tommy, who's always chiming in with the wisdom. And next to Tommy, we have...
Danny. I've been reading comics since the 90s. I was usually an indie guy in the 90s. I didn't really get back into DC Marvel stuff until the heroic age, so like the 2011, 2010s.
Yeah.
So I've been in and out of the game, but still
All right.
in it.
All right. Are you single?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Hey.
Oh, and any cosplay sisters out there? We got a geek ready to go. He got the hair and everything. He got the hair and everything, y'all. All right. And we have the old man of the comic shop, Eddie.
Sagittarius.
Hey. I love it. I love it. I love it. So what came out this week that you might want some people to check out that might be worth checking out?
I'm
Tommy.
the brain fog. I know not.
No, Ultimate Universe, year 1.
There it is. Ultimate
Wolverine.
Universe, year 1.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
Ultimate
first appearance of Ultimate Wolverine.
Ultimate Wolverine came out this week. Check out Ultimate
Well,
Wolverine.
Different book. So it's the first appearance of Ultimate Wolverine. That is coming.
Okay.
So this is a one shot. It's a kind of 1 year into the Ultimate
I
Universe.
love it.
Telling a story outside of the other 4 existing Ultimate books.
Okay.
It was good. It was a fun read.
Check it out. Hey, check that out. I know I'm grabbing me a copy. What he got the Power Fantasy. If you guys have not been reading the Power Fantasy, Tommy,
That's a hit.
he put me onto it.
Power fantasy.
So, imagine, if you will, an alternate history where there's only superpowers are redefined. So, in the dictionary textbook of this world, there's superpowers. It's a government that's like Russia, America, they have the nuclear arsenal to take people out.
Mhm.
They have what's fictional, this thing that's archaic. It's a comic book hero with powers. And then there's a superpower in their world that's real. It's a person with the capabilities to destroy on the same level as a nuclear arsenal.
So basically, it's like a Cold War standoff using super people.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this delicate. I'm loving it, and I'm loving everything about it. Yeah, it's called the Power Fantasy. It's called the Power Fantasy. All right, check it out. That's my personal recommendation for the week. The Power Fantasy. Kieran Gillen is the author. If you like Kieran, he's one of my favorite authors. To be quite honest.
Eternals recently.
Yes. He's nothing if not consistent.
Yeah, sure.
And the artwork, clean, sharp, like I like it. You all will dig it. The Power Fantasy. Super Sly coming in. What's up, Super Sly? Good evening. We are live from Tinley Park. All right, so I got something to say. We just watched Kraven the Hunter.
I watched it.
A shame.
Spoiler alerts, okay? Just understand they're about to come down the pipeline. All right, so Craig, start us off. You gave it a C+.
I gave it a C+.
Oh, wow.
I gave it a C+. I gotta base it on movies, not comics.
Okay.
And you gotta remember, even every Marvel origin story is horrible, except Iron Man. Every Marvel origin story has been a C. Every Marvel origin story has been at least a C.
Okay.
Think about it.
Okay.
Captain America.
Captain
America.
Captain America.
Captain America: The First Avenger was pretty good.
Captain America: First Avenger. It was a good movie, but it wasn't an A. Iron Man
It wasn't A, but it wasn't a C.
It was a B+.
That was a B.
But think about the rest of them. Thor wasn't that good. Captain Marvel wasn't that good.
But this was Sony. Sony's ranked. Sony ain't never hit a C.
Remember,
Yeah.
wait a minute.
Sony ain't never hit a C, man. If you compare it to
Toby
other Sony movies,
Madam Web.
You got to go back.
Yeah,
when's the last time
Totally.
Sony had a C?
But you gotta
Yeah,
remember.
But
Anything
here's
above
what
a
we
C.
say, Craig. You can like what you like.
Yeah, but my
This is
thing
what we tell everybody here, right? Don't we say that, Eddie?
I
Yeah.
turn
You
off
like-
my.
Yeah.
I've
You
learned
turn off your
Motto.
geek. Yeah.
I've learned since 98. I turn off my actual comic book reading. This is a movie,
Okay.
Yeah.
and you got to base it. A lot of these
I dig
movies
it.
are based
Apples
on
to
writers.
apples.
Yeah.
Right?
Were based on writers who never
Okay.
read a comic book. They admitted to
Okay.
it. But it's they're trying to do what DC doing with these offshoots of their characters, like
Okay.
origin story.
All right.
I mean, they try to throw the kitchen sink in with side characters.
Okay.
Yeah.
I dig it.
With Kraven.
All right. So who else saw it? All right. I want to give my grandson a shot.
The worst part of the movie was how cringy it was. Like, okay, look, the writing was okay. I cringed almost every single time Kraven used his powers. Like, for example, he was trying to leave his dad's house, right? He slips and falls. He like, oh.
And a frog.
And I'm
yeah.
like, dog.
Oh, you talking about when he first landed like a cat?
Yeah.
Kinda like
Oh,
Superman
and
when
right-
he fell, he was
Yeah.
talking
Did
about-
he do the superhero pose? Did he do the...
He did. He did.
Nah, he didn't
Look, the
do
worst
none
part,
of
the worst part though.
Black Widow.
Right.
those. Oh, when he jumped out the
He
glass.
was
Yeah.
Iron
He
Man.
kinda
The
did.
worst-
Well, he's chasing his brother. Yeah.
The worst part though was how Rhino looked.
Okay.
He looked like he has never
He's like he
Yes.
skipped leg day.
exactly.
Rhino skipped leg
And why
day.
was-
It was CGI.
and why-
Yeah,
Rhino
it was
was-
CGI,
and
yeah.
why was like his forearms and his hands so small?
Yeah.
Like
It was weird.
honestly,
He
it
was
just
disproportionate.
his shoulders and
So the memes-
chest.
Rhino
so
was
the
horrible.
memes are
I'm not
gonna
gonna
be-
lie.
gonna be
Right.
Yes.
All right. We got third gen. All right.
I've not seen it yet.
You have not seen it. Have you seen? No.
Oh,
All right, Eddie.
Uh-oh.
Come on,
Come on,
Eddie.
Eddie.
Come on. Let us have it, Eddie.
This is the one thing. Eddie loves everything.
We gonna call him. We gonna start calling Eddie everything. Eddie everything. Come on, Eddie everything.
Everything but
Eddie
the
L.
Sony movies.
Eddie
But
L.
the Sony movie.
But the Sony movie.
I would say this is probably my favorite of the Sony movies.
Yeah.
So it's probably a C.
That's what I gave it a C.
This is a C because it's probably the best. Everything else.
But you gotta remember, they did take parts of Kraven the Last Hunt where they made Chameleon his stepbrother.
Yeah.
Stepbrother.
Yeah.
Okay.
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
Oh,
we gave him
yeah.
spoilers.
Yeah.
What'd you give? What'd you say, Jay?
Huh?
What'd you give it?
So
You were not wrong about Rhino. You were spot on Rhino.
I wanna take the pause.
I could say a C. It wasn't a D. It wasn't horrible. It was a lot of exposition. So it was like horrible exposition. Like they threw in a foreigner hooch, and I am like one of the biggest, like deepest lore guys that you will ever find. And I have never heard of the foreigner
No?
ever.
That's gonna be the
Okay.
stranger though. That's gonna be
Alright.
the stranger.
Family
Ever.
watching. Just the wifey's watching.
Oh hey,
Hey, babe.
Yeah,
My daughter-in-law. My daughter-in-law. He's where he's supposed to be.
The costume looked good. The Kraven costume, the design looked very well. It was beautiful, especially at the end. You know, they
I
gave
hate
him
that
the
they
whole
gave it
coat.
to him at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
You
The
don't
design
get it,
was
you don't
good.
get it to the end.
Right.
Yeah, but to the very end, you know, his dad leave it to him. Yeah, I don't know.
All right, so here's my take.
This wasn't as bad as Madam Web.
No, nothing's as bad.
None as bad as Madam Web.
It's not possible to be as bad as Madam Web.
None as bad as Madam Web.
Comic book movie in history.
I agree. So here's my take on it.
No,
I would give it a C.
that would be Catwoman.
I would give it a C minus. I would give it a C minus.
The spirit was
Only because, all right, we know that Hollywood takes these things and they have this cancerous habit of not bringing anyone in that is remotely familiar with the canon. All right, you guys might want to check out our guy here on YouTube, Mary Marvelite, did an entire YouTube episode on Kraven, and I didn't know Kraven's history was so rich. When I tell you there was enough history in Kraven to come up with a movie just about him and still have him be an anti-hero, okay? I'm like, what? Check it out on Mary Marvelite. He doesn't know it's from a can of paint, but the dude, Kraven has a lot of substance.
Yeah.
He a lot of interest from a character development arc, right? It was very flat. The CG being what it was, I mean, I kind of have to meter my critique with what Eddie and I talked about in the past. You know, when you've been around this for a while, there's a part of you that's just happy to see this stuff come to life in almost any incarnation. We grew up as kids, and we never thought this time would ever come to the point where we could actually be critical about it. We just wanted to see it. You know what I'm saying? We just wanted to see it.
Outside of Spider-Man, his amazing friends.
You know,
You should put up some like live Spider-Man from the 70s or something.
Yeah, oh my God.
Oh.
They don't know. They don't know what we grew up on, man. Dude, they don't know what we grew up on, and so it is for we are spoiled for choice at this stage of the game. Yeah, we're spoiled for choice at this stage of the game. But again, we said it when we did the interview with Larry Houston. Is it's a guaranteed recipe for success when you put a fan with a professional and you have them work together. When you just have pros work that are totally disconnected from any type of canonical reference, it's not going to land well. Because again, as we always say here, most people, most normies, are going to seek out their comic familiar loved one and say, did you hear about this movie? What do you think about it? Are you going to go see it? Right?
insert opinion.
Right.
We're the experts in our individual circles, right? And so it will behoove them to try to at least give us something worth talking about, right? Worth recommending. So I'm glad Sony has tapped out. This is their last one. They've made it public.
We should celebrate.
On that.
Really?
Yeah. So I mean, you wanted to jump in.
I think they, all they gotta do is do a movie and they get to hold on to the license for another 2 years.
I don't even think it's about licensing. What I think is what they're planning on doing is I think they're going to revisit the Spider-Man formula. That's what I've heard. Is that they're going to revisit the Spider-Man because that was their most successful. But they gave the reins to Marvel,
to run it.
right? To see it from snout to tail, right? And they maintain the rights to it. Everyone gets paid. You understand? So I think that's the formula for
I
success.
think what it is though, because when they was giving out the rights to all the Marvel characters like Candy, Sony was smart and they picked up Spider-Man and 900 related characters. Spider-Verse characters.
Right.
That's why they got the right to do a Madam Web and
his
they got the-
rogues gallery.
So Blake was just telling me that he read it. It's a Variety article, I guess, but we have it wrong, or they came out immediately after that was announced that they're done. That is not true.
That is not true.
And
It
they're
should be.
correcting us on what the deal is. That it's never been part of the contract that they can't use Spider-Man. That was their choice.
Okay.
They're now going to make the other choice.
Okay.
So it's yes, exactly.
So they're walking. It sounds like a moonwalk to me.
Aren't they doing?
This is
It sounds like a
might be-
moonwalk to me. Quite honestly.
Aren't
sounds
they
like a
doing
corporate moonwalk.
the Spider-Man Noir TV show?
Yes. So,
Yeah.
Sony mentioned
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Nicolas Cage?
It's
And
Nicholas.
multiverse.
of course multiverse. That's all I was gonna say.
If we get multiverse in the in Spider-Man 4, I'm gonna crash out. I don't even want to watch the movie. I'm just staying at
Yeah.
home.
But Miles is like 2 years away still.
Yeah, it's 2 years.
yeah,
It's 2
that's
years
just
away.
started.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's 2 years away.
That's the problem.
Um,
As of late,
What's going on,
their
Peggy?
stuff, all their good stuff isn't even live action.
It's
been
not.
just
It's their best stuff. Is
yeah,
the animated.
it's all
It's the
animated.
animated stuff.
And they
Hands
do a
down.
great job.
Hands down, it's their best stuff. Here's hoping that they make the right decisions moving forward, because I'm pretty sure they're tired. They're as tired of losing money as we are tired of watching this and having these conversations. No, seriously,
cap.
it just costs them a little more, and it's better to make the movie as opposed to pay the taxes on the money. Because you got to remember, this movie they pulled out of 25% of the projected theaters.
It's crazy.
They pulled it
1,000
out.
theaters.
They pulled it out of 1,000 theaters.
1,000 theaters.
It was supposed to release in 4,000. It released in 3
And I went to the show.
That's
I went to the show
to
today.
save money. They got ahead of it,
Oh, wow.
expecting it not to do well.
Remember, this movie was supposed to come out almost 2 years ago, and they kept
Yeah.
kicking
Yeah.
kicking
Well,
the can.
yeah, and it shows when you watch it. It's
All the
editing.
reshots
It's
and-
editing vomit.
They flashed.
It
Wasn't
is.
Wasn't
It's
it
editing
supposed to
vomit.
be a show at first?
I don't know what it was supposed to be
For a
for.
show.
Yeah,
It would make more sense.
Yeah, it
It
was
would
supposed to
make
be a show
like
at first, and then after
kind of
that,
like
they changed it to
Penguin,
a
like a
movie.
mafia movie. It would make more sense as a TV show.
Someone says, "What's up, Melee?"
What's up?
I guess
Becky?
one of your
Twitch,
gaming
yeah.
buddies. All right, so I just found something interesting. You can tell I'm in this YouTube verse. But we also got to remember I'm a black man, so I'm a little late to this particular party, right? Maybe 20 plus years late.
Okay.
Matt with 4 T's, I love his channel. He just dropped one on Bone. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. He just dropped one on Bone. It's the indie comic that changed everything. Okay. If you have not seen it, check it out. But one of the stats I thought was very interesting, because one of the guys that he spoke to on there is the owner of Comics Experience, I think it is.
I might have missed that part.
Yeah, he's a comic store owner. But they pulled up the stats on, for some reason, and I think we know this, but I think it's starting to become a little bit more publicized, that Marvel and DC combined in graphic novel sales didn't even comprise 10% of the market in sales, right? And that's not including manga.
Oh man.
That's not including
So
manga.
this is all indie stuff.
You know what's killing it? Scholastic, where Bone is being published, and Captain Underpants, and Dogman, that are all done in a graphic novel format, to libraries and to bookstores. That Marvel is 4%. I think DC is like 5% of the market, and that's not including manga sales.
When I was getting made fun of for reading and watching the stuff
Speak
that
up.
we love, when I was getting made fun of for watching and
Mm-hmm.
watching the stuff that we used to love when we were kids, Captain Underpants was still very popular.
Yep. That's
Captain
I had all the
Underpants at
books.
one point in
Yeah.
time in the early 2000s
He
was
was.
just as popular as Pokemon
Mhm.
and more popular than Dragon Ball
It
and
was.
Superman.
Oh wow.
Yep.
That's just I lived through it.
And that was even in
I
the
was
city.
there.
And that was in the city. We all went to Chelsea Long in the city. It was all Captain Underpants books.
Yeah,
That
I remember
was
that when you
yep.
guys were
I
in
used to-
school.
yep.
Yeah.
Revenge of the Talking Toilet,
So-
all of it.
so-
Yep.
so-
I was there. It was a painful experience.
so-
I was
so-
there.
I raised 3 boys, so I used to buy the Captain Underpants stuff.
You get it.
Oh,
You
yeah.
get it as a parent. I remember.
Yeah.
I remember. So here's my question. I'm posing to all of you guys. For some reason, Marvel and DC, and this is what I found very interesting in his video, that I find a hard time disagreeing with, because we've talked about it many times. Is sometime in the 80s, right before the speculator market hit, us Gen Xers, we had the bright idea that we wanted comics to grow up with us.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? We wanted them to mature with us. And in doing so, who did we omit, Eddie?
New readers.
New readers.
The children.
New readers. And for some reason, Marvel and DC have never been able to walk it back.
Oh, and the graphic
Okay,
novels.
they're stuck in this death spiral. I want some potential solutions. You know me, I don't like presenting problems without at least exploring possible solutions, because now we already have the precedent set. Scholastic is showing it, okay, by targeting kids via schools and libraries,
That's right.
right?
Yep.
Also, where manga is sold on display. Go to any library. Skip how bad library. Go to a library. You'll see all of this at the library.
So I'm at that Barnes and Noble that we
I've
go
been
to.
there.
Yeah.
The Barnes and Noble that me and Dad go to. That's why I get all my manga at.
Yeah.
See
It's a
the
whole section.
See up the Barnes and Noble.
I still collect manga
It's
myself.
actually a really
Yeah.
good section.
I still read
Okay, so we have examples. We have precedent. Why do you think Marvel and DC are so resistant? I have my own opinion as to why.
Because this is what Quentin Tarantino said a long time ago.
Okay.
Violence sells. And that's just the truth of it. When I was a kid and I finally got my hands on the final issue of Old Man Logan, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the final issue of this was when Borders was still around.
Okay.
This was towards the end of it.
Yep.
And they had
R.I.P. to Borders.
right. R.I.P. Borders. They had a single issue. Good stance. They had a single issue, and at the end of the single issue, they said, if you're interested in the ending for Old Man Logan, buy the trade.
Right.
I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, but that could be a strategy that they pulled.
Mhm.
Then I end up buying the trade, and man, because I grew up with some crazy anime stuff. I grew up with Goku Midnight Eye.
Okay.
I grew up with Galaxy Express 999. I grew up
Okay.
with Street Fighter anime movie.
All right.
Like, bunch of crazy stuff. But when you finally get your hands on something like Spawn, something as visceral as Spawn, it's the visuals about it. It's very pleasing. You remember when Sentry ripped Ares in half in Siege, which is my point leading to all this? It was like,
Oh my God.
All right. So you think violence sells? What do you got, Craig?
I just think they just didn't try.
Mhm.
I just think they just didn't try. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Now, because I was in comics, then I was in comics big time in college. Then I messed around and got married and had 4 kids. And here we are, 33 years later. I'm getting back into it.
Right.
And ain't nothing changed. It just right now because I'm a Batman guy.
Okay.
First and foremost, I'm a Batman guy. And
My man.
Right, like I said, Batman was campy as heck, but we had different versions of Batman along the way. And once Frank Miller wrote his version, he opened the floodgates for everybody for violence.
Okay.
He opened the floodgates for everybody to write violence.
Okay.
Period. Independence too. But I don't think once they saw they was making money, they started going into movies. The problem is they started going into movies, but they still didn't address the youth.
Right.
They just say, man, we're going to movies.
The new readers.
Yeah, the new readers.
Yeah.
And when Disney got Marvel, they tried to camp it down, hoping to get the youth in, hoping they would go back to the bookstore and buy the. But that's not how it is. This generation is all about visuals.
Okay.
How fast can you feed me? How fast can you feed me?
Sure.
You want to eat yesterday.
Yep.
yeah.
What about you, Mikey? You're the ideal target demographic. What do you think Marvel and DC can do? I mean, you have the advantage of having a grandfather, a father, an uncle that kind of set the table for you, and made entry into this world for you. But your peers that may not be into it, how do we get them?
Okay, it's exposure. Because so look, earlier this week I had brought some of my comic books to school, right? So I can read it during like independent reading time, right? So my friends saw them, and they were captivated by it. They had never saw a comic book before.
They're still kids.
Most of them have.
I used to do the same thing. They're still kids.
They're still kids, right?
Yeah, and also not only that, I feel like we don't have enough animated stuff releasing in theaters, like for Marvel and DC. Like a lot of stuff for Marvel and DC, it's either on TV or it's live action. The only thing that they got releasing in animation that they're like constantly doing
Teen Titans Go.
Teen Titans and Spider-Verse. Yeah, that's really it. There's not. What?
I think you're hitting on something, because I think all of us can attest, us graybeards, that no, it was cartoons that was our gateway.
Yes,
When
sir.
because we came up during Saturday morning cartoons, right? Before we ever saw a comic shop, they weren't even like around like that, especially not in the black neighborhood,
WSNS,
right?
Channel 44.
Right. Exactly. And so I think you hit on something that making you have to have an entryway into the mythos, and that was ours.
I grew up on Clutch Cargo.
Yeah.
I
I grew up on Looney Tunes and yeah,
But
the Herculoids,
Yeah.
Hanna-Barbera, yes,
But
Mighty
Craig-
Hercules,
but
and
Craig said
Team,
something
right?
which
You know,
is a big reason why we having an issue is what he just said. that entryway, Teen Titans Go. He said, "I hate that show."
Right.
But the kids love it.
Yeah.
Right.
So
my
that's
kids
where the
love it.
conflict.
I watched my
But
daughter.
that's the gateway. That is
But
the new
kids
readers.
don't have any money.
They don't have
Have
any
any
money,
money.
so they're listening to Craig.
Right.
There we go.
Right.
That's it right there. The kids love it. Teen Titans Go was in the movies, everything.
Right.
The kids
But
love it.
But I like Teen Titans, the cartoon. I just didn't like Teen Titans.
Yeah, we all
Right,
love Teen Titans, the
right.
cartoon.
Yeah, incredibly
It was,
well done.
but it was,
Right.
but even that cartoon was a little
It was a
mature.
classic.
That's
It was
right.
maturing
It
with
was.
what my dad said with the people that were creating it. They were maturing as
But you
well,
got-
so they were still close to that,
They were writing
you know,
stuff
that
they liked.
youthful. But they was like, all right, we can get a little bit more
Right.
mature, and now it's just grown.
Right.
You gotta remember though, Teen Titans Go is about taking real superheroes and putting slapstick on it.
Right.
You can't slapstick.
Well,
Batman.
well,
You
here,
can't
here,
slapstick
here- here's my thing. If we just take Teen Titans Go off the table,
Okay.
and it's like, because we also have a counter to that with like that crappy Thundercats thing they tried,
Oh, that was
right? Right, you know,
Oh, yeah.
when they
That was
did this,
real
right?
bad.
So it doesn't always work.
They don't.
But I believe we talked about it the other day is that because we saw the formula with the Timverse, with Batman the animated series,
Justice League Unlimited.
right? Justice League Unlimited, right? And all the movies that followed. What they didn't do was they didn't talk down to young people, right? And they didn't make it so mature
Mm-mm.
that parents felt cringy about letting their kids watch it.
Just have to catch up later.
Okay.
They brought you into the story.
It was really all ages. It was done by adults. It was done by adults with an adult audience in mind, but not making a barrier
Where the
to
kid can
kids,
access it, yeah.
right? I think that's a more likely
That
strategy.
new show that we really enjoy, the new Superman one.
Oh, yeah.
As well. Talk about that.
Oh yeah,
Adventures of Superman, My
Adventures-
My
yeah.
Adventures with Superman.
My Adventures with
It's
Superman.
amazing. But the crazy thing is, it's only on HBO Max.
Max.
It's not on.
There's a
any-
barrier to get
And
it.
now
If
we
you
have
don't
the
have it, you
streaming
can't
service
watch it.
period.
Exactly.
It used to be on
So-
Cartoon
Everybody
Network.
don't have it.
Yeah,
I go
Yeah.
to school in
We
England.
all have
Most of my
cartoons.
friends
We all
don't
do.
have Disney Plus.
They don't.
Yeah.
HBO Max. They don't got that type of stuff. You know
Right.
what I mean? So it's like
Well, even if you're looking at kids that aren't in Inglewood, if you're looking at kids in the suburbs, a lot of parents are just. I just canceled YouTube TV because they went on up $10 more.
Yeah.
I was supposed to renew yesterday. I canceled
Wow.
that bad fella before it renewed. I mean, people are just tired of paying for things because we remember when it was free. And let's just be honest. We remember when TV was TV, right? All you do was just click.
Catch the
Tsunami,
catch
Cartoon
the
Network,
Right.
yeah.
We had channel 26 and channel 44.
Remember, people forget Channel 44.
That's
Yeah.
what
Too far out in the
I
movie.
tell you,
Yeah.
channel 44 had the Iron Man,
good
Yeah,
signal.
Tony Stark's,
As a parent of a kid coming up, son,
Uh-huh.
what would you like to see in the marketplace that you wouldn't mind buying for him?
Yeah, I mean, I think he hit it. I didn't even realize until you said it about the animation not being in the movies. Like that's
Mhm.
I didn't even make that connect because we watch so much animated together.
Right.
But to your point, I got all the streaming services to be able to
Right.
whatever.
Keep up with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what was cool about when I grew up, as a earlier millennial, is like I had a cheat code. He was taping like.
I was.
Man, you know what
I
I'm
was
saying?
recording
Like, I come to the
everything.
house, pop in the VHS, like he was taping.
At a
everything.
library, bro.
So I'm trying to
At a
think
library.
like what would have, but it's like all these different communities. Like these kids are all on social media. I don't know if DC and Marvel are doing social media that's accessible for
They're
just hit
not.
on the head.
for his
not.
age range.
They're not.
They
They're not.
don't do
Like,
social media
right.
at all.
Like they don't do it with, and like that they TikTok, they're on this platform,
Yeah.
YouTube. They love that stuff, and they go to school and they talk about whatever YouTuber they just like. If I'm DC and Marvel, I'm paying some YouTubers.
No.
Yeah.
No, they're not
So
doing
like,
it.
Sponsors.
if you interview my 13-year-old on comics, like all his friends will tune in and watch.
Yeah.
Right.
Right, and then now you got the whole KIP system in Chicago. 8 schools being like, man, did you see MK talking about comic books on YouTube? Like, I'm an organizer by trade, so there is a way to like figure out how to grow a base. I just don't think they're paying to
No,
Yeah.
they-
investing to do
They
that.
have a social media presence, unfortunately, just for the great bitch. Facebook.
Yep.
Right.
That's it.
That's it.
Facebook. Yeah.
Oh, they
That's
post
it.
on. That's
Yep,
awful.
that's
I
it.
see
That's
some,
awful.
there's some stuff on
That's
YouTube,
it.
but like
And
the
they'll
stuff
post a
that
trailer.
Marvel.
They post trailers.
They
That's
post
all. That's all you
trailers.
get is trailers.
Right.
There's no
But
engagement.
engagement.
There's no
engagement.
There's no
zero
long-term
DC,
engagement.
DC is
Hence,
definitely
there's no investment
Yeah.
from young people to continue with it.
DC
Yeah.
is definitely just like a bunch of trailers and stuff. Though, like if you go to the Marvel page, they got like a few animations.
Marvel
but it's
tries.
not that.
Yeah,
Right.
Marvel
it's not
tries.
that.
But they got Disney behind them.
But
though,
they
so
have
they have somebody
Marvel-
telling them what to
That
do.
you can't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Marvel's YouTube animation stuff. I stopped watching that when I turned 10 because it just wasn't interesting
the
to me
spider
anymore.
friend.
And the fact that I have to go
talking about indies,
and the fact that I have to go back to shows that my dad watched as a kid to feel interested, like in comic books, is crazy work. Like, hey, as people would tell me, this is before your time. The fact that I had to go to stuff before my time.
He's
to
talking
be
about
interested.
Bruce Timm, so you
Right.
so just so you guys can feel
So
old like
we
me.
talking about
better time.
Bruce Timm was a long time ago. Let him tell it.
Right.
It doesn't feel like it.
Good lord.
He got a good point.
You know your grandpa worked on Batman.
He told me.
Yeah. So don't.
Not that old.
Not that old. Stop it.
But he has a good point though, because look, I got a 30-year-old, and I tried to force feed them all Batman and my 3 sons. But he ended up going to anime because he used to read the manga. He ended up going anime. That dude's
They have communities.
They have a community.
Man,
Anime has
strong.
I'm not an anime guy at all.
And
I have to buy him for him.
I'm gonna tell you how wild it is. But my son, he went to Rich South, my oldest son.
Okay.
And when he went there was no anime club. He helped start an anime club, and that ended up being the biggest club in the high school.
I believe that would have been the time that you were there.
No, yeah, he's
At Crete.
me.
He said you're the same age as him.
That's
He was at Crete.
That's one thing about the animated features that he touched on is why they don't make more of them. You remember DreamWorks? You remember when they would make movies like Spirited and like El Dorado and like King Joseph, King of Dreams? The unfortunate truth is that those movies didn't make a lot of money, and when you talk about animated works to some normie, they're gonna think it's for children, even if it's animated.
Here's the thing that I liked about that video from Matt is that what Jeff Smith did that disrupted the industry is that first he did a graphic novel, and that hurt speculators, right? Like and they tried to crucify him for that. But what he did was he did what we're talking about. He wrote it for adults, but with the sensibilities of his favorite cartoonists from 40 years ago.
Right.
You dig what I'm saying? Abstaining from profanity, not showing excessive violence, focusing on story, timing, pacing, and just boom. And so its broad spectrum appeal was undeniable. And he used to take exception with the fact that people said it was for kids. He's like, no, it's not for kids, but kids can read it. You see what I'm saying? And so, in my opinion, I think that's the formula, because let's be real. At this point, I don't think it matters enough to them, because there's so much history. There's such a vast library yet to be mined. And let's be real. Let's say in 10 years they decide to revisit Kraven or Madam Web, or they do it right. People will come out and see it. Again, it's a bottomless pit of content at this point. Right.
John Wick.
Exactly.
Marvel doesn't have a young readers line. DC does Batman and Scooby Doo.
Right.
That's their only.
That they don't promote.
I got a question though. DC does a bunch of webtoons. Do you watch any of those? Or do you even know about them?
I did.
I want to hear you guys in the comments.
I had the Webtoon app, and they had this on the Bat Family Chronicles. Well, that's not the name, but it was like about the Bat Family, like day-to-day life.
Wayne family?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was interesting to me. It was fun, but I just lost interest very quickly. Like, it starts to get like a little bit boring after a while. Like, when I first I was like, oh, this is cool, right? And then after like watching 10 episodes, I was like, yeah, this is boring. I just stopped watching.
Right.
Okay, so maybe just not done well.
Not even just that, keeping it fresh. Because like it can be about the same stuff, but like if they just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, I'm just gonna get burned. That's why some movies, they could be amazing movies, like Infinity War, amazing movie. I don't like rewatching it though. It's not a rewatchable movie for me. Like after you watch it the first time, because like a lot of the things was the suspense. Like is Thanos gonna win or not? Now you know he wins. Like I really don't want to watch this.
Okay.
It just can make good movies because look, I'm 56. I will still watch the Timverse.
Oh man,
I've seen it.
We're going back
3,000 times.
We watch it. It's part of our rotation on
My
Saturday.
kids
I still do Saturday. I did it with them every Saturday morning. What were we doing? I was popping in the tape, something. Back then it was VHS. Pop it in, and I fabricate the Saturday morning cartoon experience.
Static.
And I still do it now with my grandchildren. When he spends the night, when Harper's there. What are we doing first thing in the morning? What's G-Pop doing? Watching cartoons, right?
Usually Batman the animated series.
Something, Justice League, something. And they love it.
But like you said, it's a good writing. Timverse
They're great stories. Yeah.
Great, it's a timeless thing.
Right.
Superman, Justice League Unlimited, Batman.
So is that the problem? They don't have people that want to write good animation? Like, I'm trying to figure out, because if we're here solving the problem about how to get better, like, is it hard?
It's not that it's
Or is
hard.
it- okay.
I don't think this is hard. What I think it is, they believe it's unprofitable. Like
Got it.
to me, and this is my hypothesis. Anything that's transitional, right?
Yeah.
The first phase of it, it hurts.
Yeah.
It's never going to just kick in and take off. It's going to be a dip in the graph,
They were
right?
surgery.
All you have to do is endure that. You
So
understand?
you're saying it
If I
makes
start
you endure it longer.
creating, if I'm Marvel and DC and I start creating a line and I say, all right, I'm going for
12 to
10, age 10 to 16, right? Because 17, you're probably buying whatever at that point. I'm going from 10 to 16. You're going to inevitably see a decline in well, there's no profit now. Let's just say in numbers,
So
right?
like
You're going
it's
to see a
already
decline
bad, like,
in
it can't
numbers.
get worse.
But you're also going to see over, I think, the long haul, you're going to see a steadily rising arc of interest, right, and investment. Because what are the things that we often do, even as adults? We revisit our childhood.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're right.
Period. We revisit it. We long to get that back.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
and
It's innocence. We
And
all
we
like
try
the
to
age
pass
of
it
innocence.
down.
We all like it.
we
Need an
crave
escape.
it.
Yeah,
But
whatever.
when we don't introduce it to them early enough, they don't see it as a viable option for escapism. They don't. They don't. He's thinking PS5. Boom. First thing he said, he's on his phone, right? When it becomes part of the menu, right, and part of the habit, Harper, right? My granddaughter Harper. When I tell you the girl is a super geek,
Devours it.
she consumes it.
Mhm.
You know, now we're watching what Invincible
Invincible Girl.
Fight Girl, Invincible
Oh,
Fight
Girl.
Girl.
Yeah.
On, you know what I mean? But it's a cartoon
Yeah.
about but she loves it, and we watch it every Sunday morning when it comes on. See what I'm saying?
Love Batman.
And now and then what she's doing,
That's all they watch.
she's
Oh,
drawing
Brave
it.
and the Bold.
Oh, they
Batman
love
Brave-
Batman Brave
My
and the Bold.
kids, they love it.
Brave
I
and
binge
Bold.
watched the
Love
entire
it.
show.
Yeah.
Yes.
They love
And
it.
you can watch it on rebound.
We've been
All I
watching
need is a few months break from it. I'm
Mhm.
popping it back
back,
in.
back again. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But that's the type of revisited campy type stuff that
Yeah.
appeals to kids.
And that's
Absolutely.
campy.
Huh?
It is.
And that's campy. Batman Brave and the Bold.
It
but
is.
it's
But it's
still
still cool.
good.
It's still
though.
well
Yeah,
done.
it's still
I like
well
because they
done.
introduce some obscure characters.
Oh,
right.
yeah,
I'm
for
not
sure.
gonna stunt. The campiness kept me away. I haven't seen an episode.
Oh, you'd enjoy
it's,
it.
Oh, it's so
It's-
good.
it's a
You'd enjoy it.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
so good.
It's campy,
Like,
You know
but
what?
it's
it has
not
some
corny.
good-
I've not watched that.
Yeah.
It'll make you laugh.
It'll make you laugh because they're doing it on purpose.
They do it on purpose.
They do it on
it's
purpose.
intentional.
And they make a joke at it.
It's not like bad camping where it's
Yeah.
corny and
Yeah.
cringe.
Yeah.
It's campy, but
On
you're gonna
purpose.
laugh. You're like,
Yeah.
that is crazy.
It's literally Adam West version.
Batman the Brave and the Bold.
Tap the Adam,
Yeah.
boom, you're
Oh,
dead.
no, I love
Boom,
Batman.
you're dead into Batman. Boom,
Which one
boom,
is that?
boom.
Which one is
Like it's
that?
funny, bro. Like he's like he has no powers.
Harley.
One man
No,
like
that's a
respect
movie.
Batman. He's like,
That's a
man,
movie.
watch this. Boom,
that's
you're
a-
dead.
that's a movie.
Boom,
Brave and the
you're
Bold
dead.
is a
Boom.
series.
Bro, it's hilarious.
Yeah,
bro.
it's serious.
It's
Yeah,
so
I
good,
was
bro.
watching
It's so
Because
good.
the animation kind of like turned me up. Because I'm like,
Oh yeah,
Yeah, they went old school with
Yeah, because I'm like,
thick
it's a
lines.
baby.
The
Like,
thick
it's a
lines.
baby
Yeah,
difference.
no,
Yeah,
no,
that's
no,
not
no,
Brave and
no,
Bold.
no.
Yeah, that's a series.
Like I said,
Folks,
anything
folks,
Batman-
folks be dying.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes. You will enjoy it.
I'm gonna add
Oh,
it to
yeah.
the
Like you
list.
said, though.
It was on Prime.
The problem is, I think
HBO
DC,
Max.
I think
Go
DC
ahead.
pushes the envelope better than Marvel.
Oh, for sure. As far as animation,
Oh,
it
Everything
animation.
is in
ain't even
there.
close.
Think about it.
Movies, they got them.
They got the Brave and the Bold.
And James Gunn, even what he just did.
We're about to talk about it. We're about to talk about James
yeah.
Gunn.
Creature
Other side,
Commandos.
They
Yeah.
got the Brave and the Bold cartoon. Then on the other side, you got the Poison Ivy, adult.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Harley
Harley
yeah.
Quinn.
Harley Quinn?
They do.
Yeah.
Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They push
They
it
do a
everywhere.
good
They
job.
put
They
push
push
the
the
envelope.
for
Think
sure.
about it, when they started coming out with the animated series,
Mhm.
I didn't expect that type of violence in that first
Oh yeah, it was
Wonder
it was,
Woman
it was a lot.
cartoon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
that's
a lot.
That's
I mean, it's
thing.
an adult, it's a mature.
Yeah.
A lot of our creators from at that time are making a lot of adulterated works now, like Batman and Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
That was rough.
Again,
Yeah.
I think
That
about-
was rough.
as
Yeah.
I'm fairly confident in saying this. So we're going to move on to the next topic. Is that it always boils down to profit.
oh yeah.
We were targeted heavily as kids as long as we were profitable until the Supreme Court, whoever it was, passed the laws where they could not target us, right? And granted, we weren't spending money, but our parents were spending money for us.
Yes, sir.
As soon as we became unprofitable, you guys suffered for it.
Yeah.
Seriously, even now when you think about animation, because you guys know that's my world. When you look at the cost of animation now, compared to its fighting for success, right? animation is considered bad business right now, right? It really is. You're talking on average. Every episode of Invincible costs $750,000.
Yikes!
Wow.
So
I didn't
$750,000
Yeah,
per
it takes
episode.
so
I know, right?
long.
Well, think about this. Accounting for
Voice
inflation.
actors.
X-Men back in '92 that Larry Houston worked on, $400,000 per episode. Today that's $825,000. That's for
Expensive,
X-Men
man.
back in '92.
Yeah.
It was per episode.
Per episode.
That's the animation pipeline is expensive, and so now when you're saying that I can't target kids and make the back end of it because I need toy sales to justify it, right? Now it sounds like bad business.
Because they're pushing the X-Men 97 toys, but these kids ain't watching.
Yeah, and
They're not watching
they're not
it,
playing with
Oh,
the
the kids
toys.
aren't watching.
and they're not playing with the toys.
Well,
My
they'll
son
watch it,
enjoyed
but they're not playing with the toys. They're not
No.
buying the toys no more.
You gotta remember, kids
Yeah.
getting a cell phone in their hand at age 6 months.
Mhm.
Oh, absolutely.
That's
So-
the toy they need.
Yeah.
That's the
They
toy
was-
they need.
everything they was doing
Absolutely.
was to push the toys, but now the toys have become obsolete
Right.
for a lot of kids because of technology.
These collectors items.
Actually,
Now,
when
I
they're
just-
not making no
I know
money.
this-
They're collector's items.
when I was
Exactly.
little-
He got action.
This may
When I-
sound
when I
this
was
may
little-
sound morbid because I'm sorry, son. I want to get on to the next topic. This may sound morbid, but for me, the harsh reality is, in order for them to target the next generation, we got to die.
Yep.
And that's the truth. They have to hit rock bottom financially
Yeah.
because as long as we're spending money, and we are, the Graybeards were spending money on it,
Yeah.
right? And it's enough to just. Are you nodding back there in the back?
Yeah.
He's nodding back there in the back. I'm not. If you just let me speak for a little bit, I got a few brain cells left, right? I think that we have to die
Or move on to another.
because as long as there's a base that they can mine for just enough money to feel good about it, when there's no one else to pick up the product, right? It's basic supply and demand. When there's nobody else to pick up the product, they're gonna have to fabricate demand again.
And he makes a good point. I'm gonna use a quick example so you can move on.
Mhm.
My father passed away a couple years ago at age 91, but that man watched every Western, and there was a time when Westerns
Yes.
were,
Yeah.
We're king.
were king.
That's
Yeah.
what pop. That's popping them.
Pop,
This is
yeah.
my
Western was
father.
king.
Yes.
And it took for my father and all his contemporaries to die off.
For them to move on.
To move on.
For them to move on.
Yeah.
Come on, they were talking about Silverado was still a big
Yeah.
movie. And
Yeah.
that came out late, and people were still
Man,
watching.
see?
Well, people living longer, so they in trouble.
Yeah, folks definitely living longer.
I ain't trying
now.
to check
That's-
out here no time soon.
John
But,
Wayne died. They didn't stop because he's Clint
Yeah.
Eastwood.
Yeah.
Once Clint Eastwood starts making
Yeah.
any kind of crazy Western movie,
Absolutely.
that era will be done.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah, that is a good
Absolutely.
So
point.
war movies, Westerns, that was their jam.
Yeah.
All right, so last topic for the night, then we're going to go ahead and continue with Midnight Madness here. Let's talk about Creature Commandos.
Commandos.
They now just dropped episode 3.
Fucking love it.
Okay, what you got with Creature
I
Commandos?
love it. So I had never picked up a book of
Me either.
Creature Commandos. So I'm like, some of the characters, with Frankenstein being a public use, so you know like how he shows up in the comics. But the way that James Gunn has made the decision to not disentangle his animated universe from his live action universe, to hear what's her name, Viola Davis's
Yes.
voice,
Yeah.
Yes.
like.
And
I'm
even
not-
have the animation on model for her.
Right.
It
Yeah.
looks like
It
her.
looks like
Yeah.
her. Like
Yeah.
I got a little giddy because I'm like, yo, this is like a offshoot from a movie that I really enjoyed.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Suicide Squad.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So just from the way it's been done, I think it's been done with a lot of care. But James Gunn being a fan for real and that being affirmed,
Yeah.
and like, because I was nervous. I watched the Christopher Reeve documentary.
Me too.
That was technically
Yeah.
his first piece, and I was like,
Yeah.
all right, that was good. Well, so with Creature Commandos, that was technically the restart of
Yeah. Yeah.
of his.
Yeah.
So
It was
that the
good,
first-
though.
It was really good.
Mhm.
But like with Creature Commandos, I'm like, all right. I like Peacemaker, like because we know James Gunn, right? We
Yeah.
know his style, we know
It's
what he does.
disconnected but connected.
Right. So I'm like, I was a little worried.
Because
And
Weasel
after the
died.
first 2 episodes,
Mhm.
I'm gonna have to watch it. I've yet to watch
dude,
You'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
I think you'll enjoy it.
I don't want to do no spoilers.
It's
Right.
dope.
But
Right.
it's style.
You
Yeah,
haven't
it's
seen it
dope,
yet?
but,
it. No,
yeah.
not yet.
Have you seen it?
Not yet.
No, you? Okay. So we don't want to
Yeah.
spoil it for
Just
too many
us. Just
people.
us.
Watch
Okay.
it
Right,
first.
just us.
Yeah,
So-
just us. Yeah.
So
It's spoiler for me. so.
I won't do any spoilers, but I will say this. I think that it's a great start to a very long road.
That's right.
Mhm.
He's got a long road to go.
You understand
That's
what I'm
right.
saying? He's
That's
got a
right.
lot to overcome.
Yep.
Expectations are high. I think James Gunn can be James Gunn to a point,
Yeah.
but he's got to be something else as well. Because
That's where
his
Peter Safran might come
That's maybe where Peter Safran comes in, because when I tell you Creature Commandos feels very James Gunn,
It does.
Yeah.
I don't think that has a long shelf life.
For DC.
Period.
How many times
Just
can you-
creatively.
How many times can you do that?
Right? Just
before it gets
creatively.
old,
It's the same. It's the same type of music tempo.
Yeah.
It feels
James-
James
yeah.
Gunn.
Mhm.
Now, granted, we all know that you have your own creative identity, but we also know that doesn't translate into every property. It doesn't necessarily carry over well.
Yeah.
You understand? Like, I don't think he can be James Gunn and do Superman. I don't.
Yeah.
No, I don't. Okay.
That's what makes me the most nervous.
That makes everybody a lot of nervous.
Everybody's nervous about Superman.
Right. Everybody's nervous about
He's
that.
hard to
He was
do.
a Boy Scout.
He's the Boy Scout. Yeah.
And James Gunn doesn't
Yeah.
do Boy Scouts. Yeah.
Let me ask you this.
Tommy, come on, Tommy. Come on, Tommy. What you
Need your
got?
Expertise.
James Gunn. We're
Talking James
Gunn.
Gunn, Creature Commandos. I said I think that he can only be James Gunn to a point. Right now we're enjoying it because people are thirsty for the reinvention and eager to see what he's going to do with it.
And his uniqueness.
But it does feel very James Gunn. It feels atypical James Gunn.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's a good thing moving forward for the other properties.
You
like
didn't
a-
see it translating over to Superman, but Tommy has a view on Superman.
James Gunn, Superman.
I have no idea what we're talking about.
So slide to the camera.
So you're talking about like just as far as like James Gunn
James
movies,
Gunn.
like he has this steady tempo and then shot of adrenaline. Steady
Right.
tempo, shot of adrenaline.
Mhm.
Steady tempo. That's like
And
how many
humor.
times in humor? How can you do that with Superman? Like how many times can you do that before it gets old?
So he's got to be a completely different guy if he's
Mhm.
going to do a Superman thing. Because when you have a Superman movie, people expect a certain thing.
Yeah.
You got to jump over that bar that Christopher Reeve set.
That's right.
And you
Nobody
won't-
has.
No. And
Mhm.
also, you have to jump over this. I just got to be honest, man. Henry Cavill was never in one good Superman movie. But he's been around long enough for nostalgia to kick in.
Mhm.
So you got to jump over the memory of what people think Henry Cavill
Yeah.
was.
Yes.
Mhm.
So James Gunn's kind of said, I'm not going to write this in my way. I'm going to still make it a Superman movie.
Right.
But it's still him.
Right.
There's some, and now I remember what he's talking about.
Yeah.
James Gunn doesn't help himself because he makes these little changes and fights these battles in the Superman movie that he doesn't need to.
Like, give an example.
So here's a good one. So Crypto the Superdog.
Mhm.
There's a controversy about that for no reason.
Okay.
You get yourself a white Labrador Retriever because it's a dog.
Right.
And go do that.
Right.
We don't need James Gunn's dog as Crypto.
Right.
Right.
That's a nothing fight that you don't need to fight.
Right.
Because it's an uphill battle. Because
Right.
you're fighting the DCEU. And the other is the logo. Don't fight that
Yeah.
battle.
Right.
Yeah,
I hate that
it
logo.
should-
Right.
I'm a Dragon Ball fan, and
Yeah.
Superman's logo should not look like a Z from Dragon Ball.
Yeah. It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That reminds me of the Kingdom Come logo.
Yeah,
It does.
Yeah.
That's my favorite
Yeah.
Superman. I love
And then some people think that he's setting up for
When everybody was
Kingdom
old.
Come for the
Yeah,
transition.
I love that.
So
I
it's
love
not.
that.
So
I
it's
just
not
love
too
Alex
jarring.
Ross.
So you're
Right.
nervous about him handling Superman.
Remind me of that later.
Alex Ross.
I
I
don't see-
will.
I'll be honest. I
I
do
just
not
read
see
Justice again like yesterday.
where in James Gunn's body of work he can do a Superman movie.
Mm.
It'd be different if there was some sort of track record. The closest he got was Brightburn.
Yeah.
But that's
Mhm.
a collaboration with either his brothers or his
Mhm.
cousins. So
Right.
I can't even say that that's him.
Right.
So,
He's part of Brightburn. I didn't know that.
oh yeah.
I love
Brightburn was
That's a
good.
hit.
Yeah.
Brightburn was good.
Brightburn was
It's
good.
good.
But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
We need a good
Yeah,
Superman.
ain't
We are
Superman.
starving.
Can't
Well,
do that.
I don't think we. I don't think we
Yeah.
just. I don't think we
would
just
argue
need it.
I would argue
I
Man of Steel
think.
is
I
good,
think
it just
Warner
wasn't
Brothers
great.
needs a good Superman movie. I think they need.
Your
An-
title
an
character
A-win.
has to be solid.
All I know was, and Tommy
Yeah.
know, my whole thing about Superman movies, solo Superman movies, most of them are all about real estate scams. And I'm tired of that.
Oh, you trying to
Is that something?
I'm tired of real estate
That's
scams.
funny.
Superman has a rich history. I said if James
Real
Gunn
estate
gonna
scams.
redo Superman, he should have did it from the old 19, started back where he couldn't fly. We could just jump over buildings
Mhm.
for real,
Like,
and
yeah.
start him off like that.
Like Smallville. Yeah.
Zack Snyder had to start all over and go back to the Christopher Reeve, like, 'cause he had to fight,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
everybody
But the
else.
point is, like I said,
They're
yeah.
not.
Nah,
They're not.
Long jumping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
I'm
it's
just
not
saying,
gonna
but the
happen.
point is, he got to
Yeah.
do something different because you're not
I
going.
get. I think I get what you're saying.
You're not going to
Yeah.
break the Christopher Reeve benchmark.
Yeah.
People have that ingrained, and we haven't died off yet. We still
Right.
living and
Yeah.
kicking.
Yeah.
It's true.
I mean, that's my favorite movie of
Yeah,
all
he
time.
he changed a lot.
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
you have to. I don't know that he has to clear that benchmark. To your point, nostalgia's already starting to kick because we want a good Superman. That's why The Rock was able to pull a fast one and get him in the Black Adam.
Yeah.
And we
Right.
all, I
Yeah.
still clapped, even though I knew it didn't
Yeah.
mean for nothing.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
Henry looked great in the suit. He was in a lot of bad movies. I think he was poorly written. You hardly ever heard him talk.
Can't overcome a bad script.
Right.
And then the mustache.
So I'm like, I feel like we've seen so much
CGI
bad
mustache,
Superman that
yeah.
I don't think James Gunn has to get an A+ here. I think he's just got to be good. It's got to be.
He's got to stick the landing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Is that enough to get over the
but
DC
I don't think that's.
trolls?
But my thing is, I don't think that's the expectation with Warner. I don't think that's the expectation.
They don't care. You know what?
They're not fans though.
No,
They're not fans,
Yeah,
but
that's
the
the
fans
gave
of
him full control.
Well, here's the thing: the expectation of Warner, they gave him full control because they want their Feige.
Yeah.
They want their Feige.
Yep.
That's all they've been searching for is their Feige. You understand? And they believe that Guns and Safran will equate to one Feige.
To one Kevin Feige.
Here's the advantage that I think James Gunn has. Is he has the advantage of not being the first through the door taking the shots. Law enforcement reference, right? First guy through the door is getting shot. Yeah. Okay. Right. First guy through the door has been Feige. Right. Great success, but he's taken a lot of bullets since
Kevin
then.
Feige.
Right. Kevin Feige. Right. I would love to give James Gunn credit for being observant. If he has half a brain, he is.
Learning.
Okay, because now being the second dude through the door, you know where the shots are going to come from, and you know how to respond to them. Okay. Hopefully, he does not make the same mistakes that Feige had after such an incredible launch.
Yep.
Okay, because let's say mistakes have been made, right? Significant mistakes have been made.
What do you think the essence of the new Superman movie should be? Because when Bryan Singer made his, it was too much of let's save the cat from the tree. And then when Zack Snyder made his, it was a question of a man struggling against his people and his heritage, but it wasn't done correctly with the script. So what do you feel like the essence of James Gunn's Superman should be?
I think the essence of James, great question. I think really, don't try to reinvent the wheel. Right, go back to the core. That's what made Christopher Reeve's Superman so significant. Even when we talk about Henry Cavill, you made him dark. That's not Superman.
That was New 52 Superman.
Right. That's not the Superman that's beloved amongst the fandom.
I love that Superman.
Right?
It doesn't mean everyone else is
Right.
going to.
Right.
Sure.
But the dark brooding Superman who barely smiles, who's the hues and tints of his costume are just a shade above black.
Yeah.
You dig what I'm saying?
That's not
Superman, right? And then when you play him off against Batman, there's no contrast. There's no contrast.
And Batman
right?
is funny.
I'd say go back to the core essence of the character. Don't get too clever, right?
Yeah,
That's my thing. Don't get too clever. Don't get too creative. And I will revisit this. All right, because now we're putting it out there, so it's on record. I think that he's enough of a fan to realize that. I think that he's seen enough.
I think the image.
Go ahead. No. Go ahead. Go ahead. Uh-huh.
I think the image of Superman creates the ceiling for him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Spider-Man is very vulnerable.
Right.
People love that.
Right.
Yes.
Batman is very vulnerable.
Yes.
It makes tremendous money. Captain America is very vulnerable.
Yes.
People flood the movies.
Right.
Superman has no vulnerability.
Right.
I don't think people relate as much to that as
Right.
a person that's vulnerable.
Absolutely.
I think they like the vulnerabilities in these characters.
Well said.
Superman makes good money, but not the way they do. You can't harm him, but you can harm these other people, but they bring in all the money.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a ceiling there.
Right.
And you may have had a point that I disagree with. Maybe if they go back to he can just jump a building and faster than a speeding bullet, but then again, that was never really, I don't think people would accept that.
Right. They tried it with Smallville. They did it in Smallville.
Right.
Yeah.
I think vulnerable superheroes are the ones who pull in the money.
Mm-hmm. Relatable.
They're
relatable. Right. You can touch them. You can make them bleed.
But I think
Yeah.
Superman has a cap.
Well, let's go ahead. What you got?
He can be written that way though. He can be
Right,
written vulnerable.
This is the farm boy from Kansas.
Right.
Yes.
You know,
That's
this is
my thing. Let's go
that way.
back to that. Right. If we think about it with, let's go back to Christopher Reeve again. Right. What do we see him? We see him trying to deal with life in the big city.
That's right. That's Clark Kent.
Right. He's from Kansas.
Yeah.
With all this power, and he's got to try to conform to life where people don't mean well, where they, you know what I'm saying? Where they're trying to get one over on you and will snatch your purse, and I think go back to that. Start there. show the humanity.
Yeah.
You digging us the psychological conflict. You understand? But definitely don't have him break somebody's neck.
Yeah,
Right.
sure.
That's what you can't do.
Too much.
You know?
To piggyback off of that was the best part of Henry Cavill's Superman was when he was a little boy.
Yeah.
Because you saw him struggle as a little boy. What was I supposed to do? Just let him drown?
Yeah.
I could, and then you remember when he told him not to
With
save
that,
him
yeah,
because everyone
yeah.
would find out.
Right.
Little things like that made that Henry Cavill Superman.
He was being built, and then they just like stopped.
They stopped it.
All right,
They cut him off the
that's
knee.
enough of that.
Back on that. It reminded me-
More. They was building it. He was like, oh, okay.
What he said reminded me of the Justice League Unlimited episode where he was fighting against Darkseid. He says, I have to be careful not to break anything.
The world made a
Right.
cardboard.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
I just watched that the other day. Yeah. That was
Coldest lines ever,
one of my
boy.
best lines ever written.
Don't bring World Made a Cardboard up. We'll be here for 2 hours.
I am.
Darkseid, Darkseid will bring you in.
I dig it.
Hour conversation.
I dig it.
Has anybody ever watched the DC animated movie universe? You know, like they have those multiple movies.
All of them.
All of them.
The
They're
Superman,
all
Death
downstairs
of
in
Superman,
my studio.
Death of Superman and Superman Returns. Peak. That's how you do Superman. He felt like when he left, you could feel it. Like it was like hope just gone for everybody.
But the problem with that is
and
it's animation though. And so with animation, grandson, is you have no expectation of dispelling disbelief. Right? Whenever you go live action, now you have to suspend disbelief. That's an industry term, right?
Do it, yeah.
You have to make the viewer break with their own reality and the laws of physics and completely immerse themselves into the project. With animation is much easier to do, right? By nature of the medium. You understand? So a lot of the things that you can do in animation, though they are, like you say, peak in animation, they may not land well in live action. And that's always a conundrum. But at the essence of it is character and story. That's it. Stay true to the core character, tell the story, and don't get caught up trying to be too clever, because it's a formula that has stood the test of time.
That's what makes Smallville work.
That's what makes they didn't get too clever.
No?
They didn't get too.
Actually, that made Gotham work. That made the Flash work.
It made
that made Arrowverse work.
Yeah.
It's just when they got to the last 2 seasons when they started running out of material. That's what started getting.
I'm gonna go back and watch those.
Yeah, me too.
I'm pretty sure they're all on HBO Max.
So my wife says, invite the dude in the back who's been standing there ear hustling for 20 minutes.
That's the animal in the wild.
That's the animal in the wild.
in his box.
He's in his habitat.
He's in his
Yeah, he's in his
habitat.
natural
doing his
habitat.
thing.
I worked for this company 30 years ago. I
Uh-huh.
still come back and spend dollars with Eddie.
I love
We
it.
talk
I
about
love it.
stuff all the time.
I love it. Yeah, I see him in
When I
all
was
the
a
time.
kid at the old store, the owner there before Joe was
Mhm.
this guy Dave. He would yell at us, "Quit putting your bikes in front of the doors." He would let 10 kids in at a time. There'd be 10 kids standing outside.
Yeah.
It's good to see the youth come in, but they're more into technology, they're more into games, the reading of books, the reading of comics. You see a lot of that, not like when we were kids, all standing in line or standing, all talking about, "Did you see what he did here? Did you see
Yes.
what he-"
We couldn't wait to get home with him.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, we had allowance $20. You're at the comic book store buying a stack of comics.
Yes.
And just technology has changed, entertainment's changed. So to see the younger generation come in, it's awesome. I think I talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
I don't think that the manufacturers of this industry that make this stuff worry about this part of it anymore.
Right.
And I think because of that, they just go for the quick buck. 17 covers of issue 3 of Wolverine for some reason. And when the younger generation comes in and sees a $5 comic, maybe we could buy the 17 copies. But the younger generation is going to be like $5 for a comic book.
Facts.
And so even though it's an entertainment, it does detract from. And the parents are going to, here's $20. You got 3 comic books.
Right.
Well, they were $6.99 each, Mom.
Yeah.
I mean, I think so. They're not. The billion-dollar enterprise is the movies.
Right.
And we talk about this every Sunday when I'm here. About that. So my thing is that the companies need to. At the end of the movie, you see Spider-Man will return, right? Spider-Man will return in the Avengers. But it doesn't say, go check out the further adventures of Spider-Man at your
local comic shop.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Because they don't get any money from it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I don't. I think that's something that that should be done at the end of every movie.
Yeah.
Go see the
I like
Adventures of
that.
Captain America. Go see Venom.
I like
Go
that.
see whatever at the comic book store because these are the further adventures of them from the
Right.
movies.
And what do you see in the comic books? You always see panels for the movie.
For the
Right.
movie,
in the comic
Right.
books.
Right.
That's true.
Now, one thing I did kind of perk up is when we were talking about Superman. Superman was never my favorite. I did read him because I felt he was just like too good.
Right.
So I know you also, when in the movie, he had to break Zod's neck.
Yeah.
I like that.
Me too.
I did like that because
The
it made
impossible
Superman
choice.
more human
Yeah.
than godlike because he had to do something that resorted to the death to save. So it's the greater good, doing something bad for the greater good. And to me, that makes Superman more human.
More human.
And now a lot of people didn't like it,
Yeah.
of course, because Superman is above that. But,
Right.
If you're Mike Tyson fighting Mike Tyson, or
Yeah.
you're two levels of something's gonna break, and
Right.
that's what broke. And
Right.
I think
I'll
again,
be back real
difference is that, but I think that was to me that was a really, his scream, his look, his
Okay.
everything was. Do I let these 4 innocent family members pass,
Right.
or take Zod out? And he did it. I think that was more relatable in on a real world
sure.
comic
Okay.
It was.
superhero
Yeah.
type
I
situation.
agree with
We
that.
agree.
Was it Superman? No.
It wasn't.
But
I want Batman
again-
to be Batman. I want Superman.
You understood the
Superman.
choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get
I
it.
think it made it more human.
All right. Great.
But again, my thing in this now is that it's good to see the young ones come in.
Yeah.
When we
For
were
sure.
the 10, 15-year-olds coming riding our bikes, because I have a nephew, and I got him comic books when he was a kid, and now it's all
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mind numbing.
We
So
got
much
we
thing
got,
I
we got,
did.
we got to keep them coming. All right. Well, thanks for your input.
Yeah,
Listen,
I
you
appreciate
guys.
that.
Hey, we are live here from Amazing Fantasy Tinley Park. If you guys are in the area, come check us out. Here to midnight, everything's 30% off. And for everyone here at Generation Geek, I am Doc Solo. Remember, keep it geek. Peace out.
Mr. Solo, may I interject?
Please.